Count. Two. Deuce. Club. Dot. Club. Hello. Catch a spell glass. Pull up, let's see, I just march out, let's bitch, you catch me by. Got a glass for the squad with a mops in the bench, you can catch me by. Versace, you won't catch me by. No, I ain't buying now. Nah. Won't see me by now. Nah. You must be blind. I was thinking you won't catch me by. Nah. You won't catch me by. Hermes, you catch me by. Louis, you catch me by. Gucci, you catch me by. Balenciaga, you catch me by. Red Bottoms, catch me by. Frog, I'm on by. All of that shit I'm by. Just let me I'm by. Roll on, I'm by. Full touch, I'm blind. No, I ain't buying now. A lot of dirty's on by. But let's see, I just march out, let's bitch, you catch me by. Got a glass for the squad with the mops in the bench, you can catch me by. Versace, you won't catch me by. No, I ain't buying that. Nah. Won't see me buying that. Nah. You must be blind. I was thinking you won't catch me by. Nah. You won't catch me by. Air Versace, you won't catch me by. Nah. All them on straight up mine. I ain't got no time. For this bitch, keep calling my line. It's the sky. What the fuck is broken knees? We ain't talking about money, we ain't talking about 30s and things. Bang! Wanna know what it is? Pussy boy, tell you what it is. You say what's up? On the phone, I told you nigga it's war. Look how it's all. Out of town, niggas don't want no smoke. Feel me those? Nah. Ain't no jokes. But let's see, I just march out, let's bitch, you catch me by. Got a glass for the squad with the mops in the bench, you can catch me by. Versace, you won't catch me by. No, I ain't buying that. Nah. Won't see me buying that. Nah. You must be blind. I was thinking you won't catch me by. Nah. You won't catch me by.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into this Haitian blowback. Trump be deporting them Haitians. these Haitians are clashing with the ICE agents in Brooklyn. And the thing is, I tell a lot of Americans is that when it comes to American blacks, you got a lot of patriotic, right winger American blacks. And to a lot of these people, a lot of these, hardline MAGA people, it's not necessarily Trump supporters, but MAGA people are a bit more extreme, we'll say. A lot of these people, they can't tell the difference between y'all and Haitians. So the question is, will this new deportation strategy against the Haitians, will this end up being weaponized against fundamental Black Americans, the foundational Blacks of the United States who have generations of history in the United States? But to the average person who's discriminatory, and again, it's not all Trump supporters, but there's a there's a good section of them that they'll send all y'all Black people out of there. They're trying to get all y'all out. But the thing is, you see a lot of Black Americans, they don't want to be associated with these people. They think that, they're separate from these people. How this whole riff kind of started, I believe, is because Haitians, whether it be, Blacks from the Caribbean, whether it be Blacks from Africa, a lot of these non-American Blacks will come into the country and realize how the majority of the Black community in the United States behaves. And a lot of these countries that these people are immigrating to the United States, a lot of these countries, these people are very well polished. These people are well mannered. These people, work hard, and they're met with a community of people that seemingly look like them who are not at all the same culture. So I wouldn't say this discrimination between African Blacks or Caribbean Blacks, it's definitely not racial. These people look exactly the same. I'm a Black person saying that. So to the average non-Black, these people look exactly the same. Right? So these people, these Africans that came over, they weren't discriminating based on race. They're discriminating based on culture. They see American culture and they don't want to be associated with that. Problem is that the FBAs, the Foundational Black Americans, they took offense from that whole situation. So they started to lash out at the Africans. They didn't want to accept the Africans. So now there's this whole type of divide amongst Black Americans and the so-called tethers, as they call them, which would be the foreigners, the foreign Blacks.
Telling me that ICE came to Brooklyn, specifically Little Haiti, Flatbush, but they all ICEs your leave. I guess ICE was trying to detain the Haitians over there, and the Haitians were not going for it. I think that people forget that we were the first ones to be freed. My people got a taste of slavery and said, we can't do this. Wrap this up by tonight. We did. If there's anything that we know Haitian people are known for doing, is fight for what they believe in. And they done beat ICE the fuck up and ran them out of the hood, as they should. Yup, the Haitians beat up ICE. So you can see right here, recent ICE operations in Brooklyn have intensified, particularly in Little Haiti and East Flatbush.
See, and this is something else that a lot of FBAs don't understand. A lot of Black Americans don't understand about these countries like Haiti, these countries that are experiencing civil war, like in Africa. A lot of these people very recently have experienced, a lot of wrongdoing towards their people on a national level, right? So she just referenced how Haitian people were the first to be free, and during the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, the slavery days, this is fact, the Haitians were the first in the Western Hemisphere to really revolt and claim their freedom from the French. They were a colony of France. And you have similar stories in Africa where they fought off the colonists. So she's quite proud of this. She's basically telling the story. Haitian people are strong people, and it's not to say that Black Americans are not strong people, but Black Americans just, the culture is different, and for some reason they allow themselves to get stepped on. These are people, referring to Black Americans now, these are people who were enslaved for hundreds of years. They've built much of the infrastructure, much of the foundation, much of the groundwork of America, yet a lot of people will not give them their flowers, if they will. A lot of people don't acknowledge their contributions. And even now, if you look in 2025, you see many other nationalities, whether it's the Hispanic communities or even other European nations, that emigrate from their lands more recently, and they're doing better. You see the Armenians as well. Many of these nations that are newcomers to North America end up in a higher class, higher situation than a lot of these Blacks who are generationally in the United States. So if the American Blacks are not careful, this is all tying into how she's saying Haitians are strong people. If the American Blacks are not careful, they're going to be pushed out. And when I say pushed out, I mean these African Blacks, Caribbean Blacks, these are hardworking people. These are people that stand up for themselves. And they don't get, they don't get lured to sleep by any type of, cultural infiltration or whatever, what have you. These are people who, they have a strong family structure. They understand family structure. They understand the importance of family. This is an immigrant way of life. Immigrants, that's one thing that you could say about most immigrants. Most of these communities, or most of these ethnicities that come from other cultures that are not Americanized, they know the value of family. So they come there with a complete different mindset, right? So this is taking place in Flatbush.
Community resistance and safety concerns. Y'all see how many people came outside? ICE. You need some ICE. You're outnumbered. Yes, they fought them with their hands and feet and baton, whatever else they could find. Probably a sandal. Somebody probably even had a belt. Point is, you don't fuck with Haitian and every other minority group. Let this be a lesson. You have hands and feet. Use them. And due to all these Haitians that came out and stood together, they successfully ran ICE out of Flatbush. Her. Because we own Flatbush. What is you talking about? We have a whole neighborhood in that bitch. Little Haiti. Y'all got some nerve. I mean, as the Haitians say, and it's literally on our flag, l'union fait la force.
And that's it. You see, they're banding together and they're not going to take it. That's a misstep that a lot of Black Americans make, is they, there's nothing wrong with, of course, having, pride in your nation, flying your flag with pride. Absolutely. But you have to understand that this is on a visual level, on a cultural level. There are a lot of people who believe that you don't belong in the country just from looking at you. And, we saw this happen with the Hispanic community, right? There are a lot of Hispanics who are citizens of the United States, whether naturalized, they were born there. There was the whole Dreamer program. And you saw these people who had, reason to be in the United States, who actually were citizens, people who had right to their occupation, right to living in the United States. We saw these people being wrongfully picked up, right? Because they didn't have ID, or the agents, the ICE agents, weren't exactly sure who these people were, right? So now we're talking about people who are, a lot more visibly identifiable, right? When you're talking about Black people, this is something, it's literally black and white, right? You look at these people, they should be visibly identifiable. And when you're talking about Little Haiti, you're talking about Flatbush, talking about New York, these are places immigrants are coming, they're working, seemingly low wage jobs. A lot of these immigrants are going into these communities with Black Americans. They're all intermingled together, right? And there is already a long history of police officers, regular police officers, picking people up who are suspect of crimes who are not even related to crimes, just on the sole fact that they don't have proper identification. So imagine the mess that this is going to create.
Fais l'union, fais force, et puis bat you.
So I saw a couple videos of Haitians actually fighting back against ICE. ICE was in the Haitian community trying to kidnap some people, and the Haitians were literally fighting back.
And this is nowhere on the mainstream media. Haven't seen this anywhere on the mainstream, because they don't want this will set a precedence, right? They don't want people to see these people ran off ICE. These people were not having it.
Pulling ICE off of their people, throwing them to the ground, escorting their people away from them. Anytime ICE would grab somebody, the people would hop on that ICE agent and throw them to the ground. They were literally fighting back. And this honestly makes sense, because what you said is so true. There are people that would rather die fighting to stay here than go back to a country where they're going to do nothing but suffer. And for the people that are going to, well, why is their country nothing but suffering? Because of America. America destabilized the country, planted corrupt regimes, and then wonder why you have people fleeing the country to come over here looking for freedom. Then they're going to take the people that fled from the mess that they created and try to ship them back there.
That's the thing. In Haiti, this is a very recent issue. If I could find... Because very recently, this was about maybe 5 years ago, under 5 years ago. Let me see if I could find this video here. Let me see if I find this. So the Haitian history, I'll try to go through this really.
Total state collapse. Around 200 different heavily armed.
The Haitians been through a lot. I'll go through this quite quickly. Bear with me here.
Looking for nicotine pouches in Canada. More Canadians than ever are getting the pouches they want.
And something that the tens of millions of dollars of additional predatory loans on the country in order wouldn't be for a very long time. In 1825, French warships showed up outside the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. They gave the Haitians only two options. One, they could accept a deal in which France would finally recognize Haiti's independence in exchange for Haiti agreeing to financially compensate France for their loss of property experienced during the Haitian Revolution, including France's loss of their hundreds of thousands of former slaves, which France asserted was 150 million francs. Haiti could either accept this backwards deal or refuse and take option 2, war, and then the French warships sitting in the harbor would simply blow up everything they could in Port-au-Prince. With a gun pointed to their head, Haiti selected option 1 and agreed to pay their former colonial slave masters for their own freedom that they had already paid for with blood.
So this is what happened. This was actually one of the crucial moments where this was the divide between Haiti and Dominican Republic, where they share an island. And when people look around and they say, oh, these nations are so underdeveloped, they don't build, what's wrong with them? These people are dumb N-words. When you look at these historical events, you see that these people could not have built. It was literally impossible for these people to build because of the situation that took place when they were because of how they were put into debt by the French government. When they fought for their independence, they were actually put back into debt. When the French showed up back on their coast, they were beaten and fought off, but they were, pressed hard by the French. The French went back, they sailed back to them, they showed up at the port, and they basically extorted them and said, look, if you don't pay this debt that we're imposing, because we determined that you guys weren't finished being slaves, y'all wasn't done, they put them in excess debt, right? And that's just early on in their situation, right? They ended up having to cut down, hundreds of thousands of trees in order to sell the lumber to try and pay back this debt. Cutting down those amount of trees led to severe erosion every time there was a hurricane or any type of natural disaster. So they experienced extreme erosion due to the roots. Because I don't know if you know, concrete, they have these bars, right? the rebar bars, right? These bars keep the concrete together. It's like a mesh that keeps it more solid. So in nature, we see the same type of setup because, of course, our modern construction does imitate nature. So nature, tree roots keep the earth stable. The roots are an intertwined, intermingling system, netting, meshing, if you will, that keeps the earth together. So because Haiti did a mass deforestation in order to pay back the French hundreds of years ago, they now lack the amount of trees required to literally keep their island together. So this was one of the main issues that they dealt with. And this is, they dealt with these issues up until 2025, when their leader was taken out of power, a lot of destabilization, and now they have gangs running the country. This is what Haitians had to deal with. So then they end up in America, and people are discriminating against them. There was that whole media campaign saying they're eating the pups, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs and cats. People were memeing hard, and it's just it's not a fair way to treat people going through such hardship. And when I deal with Black Americans that don't want to accept these people and look at these people like they're trying to come take advantage, or take some sort of resources or some sort of budget spending that would otherwise be distributed against the citizens, just know there are a lot, and I'm not saying all, but there are a lot of people that are white Americans, right-wing white Americans, who see you guys exactly as the same. Y'all the same. Y'all one N-word in a bucket. It's sad but true. The average American, right? They're not well versed in exterior cultures, external ethnic groups. They see the average person knows Mexican, an Arab, Black, right? They're not going to go into, okay, this person's a Saudi, this person's an Afghani, this person's a Somali, this person's a Haitian, this person's a Black American. You see this happened if you look at September 11th, after September 11th, right? And it was uncovered that these were Muslim extremist terrorists. Americans didn't know what a Muslim was, right? They were out there attacking random civilians that they thought were Muslim. People that weren't even Middle Eastern were getting attacked. If I find this one, it was a few days after September 11th. Hold on. Can find this here. Balbir Singh, yeah, right here. Murder of Balbir Singh. So this is just a testament to how a hateful person, right? A person who is, people like to throw around the term xenophobic. It's the fear of the new, of the newcomer, right? A lot of right-wing, white communities, they see this gentleman in 2001 and they think that this is a Muslim person. This is an Indian Sikh. This is not even the same religion nor the same nation, right? So the murder of Balbir Singh. Balbir Singh, who was born in 1949 July, was a Sikh American entrepreneur and franchisee. He was murdered in a hate crime in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks. This was September 15th. So 4 days after September 11th, this guy was murdered in a sort of vigilante justice situation. This was the first of several cases across the United States that were reported to the police as supposed acts of retaliation for the attack. Balbir Singh Sodhi, who had a beard and wore a turban in accordance with his Sikh faith, was mistakenly profiled as an Arab Muslim. So after September 11th, people were going after men in turbans when Muslim men don't even wear turbans. So this is just it's, I'm laughing, but this is this is sad. This is the ignorance of the American right at the time, right? So now you fast forward, these people don't know These people don't know the difference. They see one black from Somalia, they see one black from Haiti, and they see another black who's from Flatbush, who has 3-4 generations of people from Brooklyn. They don't know the difference. They coming for you. These people are coming for you. They coming for you.
Y'all should be fucking acting. Y'all Hispanic people out there just letting them snatch y'all off the street and y'all not fighting back. Y'all just complying. Like, fight back. Nah, I bet you they think twice about trying that shit again, huh? Yeah.
ICE went to Brooklyn and Haitians beat them up. Mexicans learn how to fight. All right, y'all sit there and let these people put cuffs on you and talk about you want someone to fight for you. Haitians know how to fight back. They don't even need us. That's great.
Ça passe. Come here, fast and quick, come. No come to tell me say ICE agent come and Flatbush, look at 80. Come say they want to kidnap somebody Asian them to deport them. Me say the Asian them beat up the ICE agent them. Every time I see one ICE video capture people, let me want to cry. You see this time around, sweet victory, man, sweet victory. I say, wish people had the front row and center for watch. Who not get fling a ground and get thumping in the back and kicking her face. You want
This woman's laughing. They handed it to ICE.
Nobody will Asian them. Crazy. Them the like slave master, and at this point, yeah, they slave master, and them are gonna fight till the end of it. A whole heap of years them a fight for. Don't do it, and them lead the Caribbean out. As slavery, when it comes to show it on a Caribbean island, them say you can fight for your freedom.
If you saw this woman, you wouldn't be able to tell this woman's not a foundational Black American just from looking at her, right? Imagine a person who's not of the culture, right? A person who's not, a Black person. They're looking at this woman. She doesn't look any different than me. She doesn't look any different than Beyonce.
But the boyfriend that's a man, not around 80, me say you know boy them buckle up and hop in the ICE agent them face. Me say, but no bad. Bad, rep, 80. Yeah, man, together you stand. Deport who? No artists come in the country. Yeah? You think you know what pain is? So my Mexicano brothers and sisters, take note. Take note, man. Stand together.
The Haitians in New York beating up freaking ICE. Like, do you guys not know that? Like, it's in the Haitians' blood, like, to fight back. Do you guys not know? Do you guys forget that Haiti was the first Black country that gained their independence, that earned their independence? Like, they fought freaking back. Like, we were the first Black country to not get freaking colonized by anybody. And you guys just thought that you could just walk up in New York and then just snatch, like, some people? And you thought they were just gonna stand there and not do anything? Well, now you know. The Haitians will fight back, okay?
The thing I noticed is that Haitian community in New York seems to be willing to resist ICE raids. But Latino community around America are not so willing to unite and fight back against ICE. But I'm not too surprised about this happening. Haitians do have a spirit of resisting. The Haitian Revolution during 1791 to 1804 was the first and only successful slave revolt in world history, leading to the creation of the first Black Republic.
Once you begin dating,
This is exactly it. This is a people. This is a nation of people who don't stand up for this type of thing, right? Or I should say they don't stand for this type of thing. These people aren't going to let you just waltz in.
One, in the French colony of Saint-Domingue, which was the wealthiest colony in the world at the time, producing sugar, coffee, and indigo. However, this wealth was built on the brutal exploitation of over 500,000 enslaved Africans. Inspired by the French Revolution's call for liberty and equality, enslaved people launched a massive uprising. Toussaint Louverture, a brilliant military strategist and former slave, quickly emerged as a key leader. He united both enslaved Africans and freed people of color, and used guerrilla tactics to defeat French troops as well as Spanish and British forces that tried to intervene. By 1801, Louverture had taken control of the island and abolished slavery. But in 1802, Napoleon Bonaparte sent 40,000 troops to crush the revolution and
Napoleon's dumbass. He done messed it up.
restore slavery. Louverture was betrayed, captured, and deported to France, where he died in prison. Leadership then passed to Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who reorganized the resistance. Haitian fighters, fueled by a desire for freedom and revenge, decisively defeated the French at the Battle of Vertières in 1803. On January 1st, 1804, Dessalines declared Haiti an independent nation, the first Black-led republic and the first country to permanently abolish slavery. The Haitian Revolution shocked the world, especially slaveholding powers like the US and Britain. It remains one of the most important events in global history, a triumph of African descendants over colonialism, slavery, and empire. For right now, Haitians may have won this chess move in New York, but what will they do when Trump sends out Marines or National Guard to Brooklyn? That will be a different story. Time will tell. Tell me what you think about this topic.
Time will tell, y'all. Check out this channel. It's very good. Just found this. Very good channel. 10 on 10. That's what the FBAs are facing. coming this fall to a city near you. They're gonna start calling y'all Haitians. Watch. Just watch. Y'all think that ain't coming? Not coming. Look at this. This was when that woman called the little boy a N-word, right? In the park. Look at these people. These are my comments. My comment section. Show me one great black society. We have N fatigue. I stand with Shiloh. They are useless. You the they. That's the they they're talking about. They're talking about black people. And this could be black Americans. It could be black anybody. Anybody who black. These people don't want you in the country. And it's not all whites. That's the thing. I tell so many black people want to point the finger at whites. This is a class issue. I know a lot of great white people. I know a lot of bad black people, right? You can't just paint it by race. But there are people who genuinely believe that you are a bad person because you are black. Or you're a useless person because you're black. These are never the elite whites. I notice it's never the whites that have money, the whites that have a career that's popping. These are the type of whites that they have a $60,000 house and they're like unemployed, downtrodden, and they want to blame it on immigrants. They want to blame their low function on immigrants, or even the native communities, right? Foundational Black Americans in the United States. They'll blame anybody except themselves, right? That's the type of people that be complaining about race mixing and these people taking jobs and immigration. Those are the types of people that say, show me one great black society. And bear in mind, these are people who are replying to a woman who called a child the N-word, right? And there was this whole battle. The person filming was a convicted offender, and what's he doing in a park? These people the point is just going over their head. I get it. Okay, the guy filming is questionable. That's fine. But it doesn't excuse this woman's behavior. This woman is unhinged. This was no way to treat a child, right? This was not an adult. I don't care if it was a baby or was a 14, 15-year-old. When you're an adult and you're dealing with a child, you have to be mature. If a kid is stealing out of your bag, you don't know. This kid could have mental issues. This kid could have, special needs. This kid could have a plethora of issues. This kid could be having issues at home, so they're acting out. You don't just call them an NIGGER, right? But that was her knee jerk. That was her, that's what she deemed appropriate to do. That's how she deemed appropriate to deal with a child who is stealing out of her bag. A child. And the response on the internet was very eye-opening to me because I saw people who had no regard for a child. These people don't believe that this is a human being. These people were calling this black child a thief and this and that, right? And don't forget, these are the same people that, what do they want to do with thieves? What do they think the police should do with thieves? You see these opinions, they're all over the internet, right? These people don't believe that thieves should get fair justice. They believe that these people should get popped in the street. So if that's what you believe should be done to thieves, and you're calling this child a thief, you could connect the dots. What these people think should be done with this young child just because it's a black child, right? So these are the types of people. And again, this is not white people. These are very fringe individuals, right? But these are the types of fringe individuals who, will be calling ICE on y'all. Y'all got 3 generations of black folks in your hood, and these people will still call ICE on y'all. You think they won't? Sad situation. Y'all need to band together, let me tell you. In other news, we have A little segue onto some other Trump situation. Epstein, nothing to see here.
President Trump offered support to his Attorney General Pam Bondi, inviting her to attend a soccer match in New Jersey today. All of this amid a MAGA world revolt over Bondi's handling of the so-called Jeffrey Epstein files. A Justice Department memo concluding there is no evidence of a client list for the
no evidence of a client list. He was trafficking all those thousands of women for himself, self-consumption. They'll pull over a black dude with an eighth of weed in his car, and they'll try to stick him with distribution with an eighth of weed. Meanwhile, this dude is importing hella hoes. This dude's importing thousands. That's according to you know who's. That's according to the people that are in the know, right? That was according to the prosecution. They claimed thousands of victims, right? But this was all personal consumption. Personal consumption pack.
Disgraced financier and convicted sex offender. CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton is here to run the numbers. Harry, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
I am wondering, how much interest is there in the so-called Epstein files?
Well, if my buddy Vin from Jersey is any sign, there's a lot of interest. He won't
How the numbers?
shut up about it. But he's not the only one who won't keep quiet.
Let's see them numbers.
What are we talking about here? Why don't we take a look at Google searches for Jeffrey Epstein? Take a look at this. Today versus a week ago. Up like a rocket, up 1,900%.
We did it.
My goodness gracious. And get this, it is currently the top term topic being searched alongside Donald Trump today. If Donald Trump, who is begging, asking his supporters to drop it, he is not getting his wish whatsoever. His supporters are not dropping it. Interest in this story is at basically an all-time high.
All-time high, guys. Stonks.
And of course, this is such an interesting story because it is one that unites different parts of the far right. It's one of the few stories that actually brings together folks like Steve Bannon and Elon Musk. They all are wondering what the heck is going on here. And at this particular point, Donald Trump has not figured out a way to solve this problem and quell the problem on the right side of his base.
So put this interest into perspective when you compare it to other news stories this week.
Yeah, okay. So we're talking about right now Google searches for Epstein. What about some other big stories this week? You know, take a look here. Again, we're looking at Google searches today. Get this, searches for Epstein have been
7.6 more than
times higher than they are for Grok. Of course, Grok, the whole thing, that of course is part of X, went off on its own, the AI, and started throwing out anti-Semitic stuff, talking about Hitler and all that.
Can you believe this? This is not satire. This is CNN. This is real news. They have betting sites. They're showing the odds.
Gambling.
Are you a Canadian?
These people are nuts. Nutty. CNN is showing the odds. Look at this.
Yeah, you know, there was essentially a way that you'd write off.
They have the betting market odds for Trump releasing more Epstein files. May 13th, 40%. June 13th, 39%. Now, 21%. Someone lost the house on Epstein. Unbelievable, these people.
Losses would be very difficult for professional gamblers. They really hate this bill. And more than that, I would say the gambling industry at large doesn't like this because it has become such a big industry. I mean, my goodness gracious, legal sports betting revenue, you go back 8 years ago, it was $261 million. Look at where we are today. It's a $5.5 billion industry.
5.5 bill. Instead of red or black, just put it on Epstein. These people are unbelievable. Well, I mean, nothing to see here. You know, we all know nothing happened. Tucker Carlson torched by ex-Israeli PM over Epstein Mossad theory. So Tucker Carlson had accused the Israeli government of being tied to Epstein. But we have a statement. We have a statement, folks. Where's the statement? This dude came out here. He says, as a former Israeli prime minister with Mossad and having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for the Israel Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. There you have it, folks. I'm glad he cleared that up. Unbelievable, these people. No ties to the government, folks. Nothing to see here, folks. What a joke. I don't know if Trump's base is going to let him forget about this, you know? He's going to have to deport some Haitians to get them to forget about that one. Better start deporting them Haitians. So, just a recap, FBAs, you're at high risk of being deported. As we know, a lot of MAGA right-wingers can't tell the difference between this lady right here and your average FBA, fundamental Black American, the foundation of the United States. But who can tell the difference? I can't even tell the difference. I'm Black. I can't look at this chick and tell you she's Haitian. So FBAs, you got to be careful. We had Shiloh Hendricks calling kids an N-word. Everyone's fine with that. No one calls her out. This dude's like, we're going to make her a millionaire. People were very upset about that too. You know, I think they gave her about $800,000 so far. But here's the thing about giving idiots money. A lot of people were very upset. Oh, how could people donate to her racist cause? Here's the thing. When you give money to a person who is low class, right? It doesn't help these people. Right? This is her GoFundMe. Well, it's Give Send Go. So she has $1 million goal. She raised 800,000. People were up in arms. People were freaking out. You know, a bunch of losers. There's a bunch of losers here. You know, as this guy said, he's like, we're going to make her a millionaire. Right? Where's homeboy? He says, we're going to make her a millionaire. That's how you know this guy is an underachieving white, because any white person who actually does things in their life, who actually, you know, is achieving, who has a, you know, reasonable net worth and a good income, they don't, you know, get online and say, we're going to make this random stranger who called a child the N-word a millionaire. You know, at least he's going to feel like he accomplished something this year. But yeah, a lot of these comments, these people are completely nuts. But when you give this type of money to someone who, you know, let's be honest, look at this woman. This is a low-class individual, right? You could see. When you give money to this type of person, it doesn't help them. In fact, it can make a lot of their issues worse. So when I saw her GoFundMe flying, didn't bother me at all. Actually, didn't bother me at all. Because it achieved two goals. It achieved the goal of having the money part ways from these imbeciles, these, you know, extremely alt-right, borderline white supremacist individuals who are donating to a woman who calls a child the N-word with the hard R, simply because she did that. You know, this woman's not a singer. She's not a dancer. She has seemingly no talent, you know. But they gave their, you know, hard-earned money to this woman because she called a kid an N-word. So that's very indicative of how a lot of these people see Black people, that they will give their hard-earned money and attempt to make a random racist woman on the internet a millionaire just because she says the N-word towards a child. But this money is not going to help her. You know, there's always the possibility that this is a complete psyop and none of this was real. this woman is just some giant money laundering scheme. I'm not going to go down that road, but assuming this is completely real and how it's presented, right? This money is not going to help this woman. This will be blown on a pot of meth within a couple months. This chick looks like a meth candidate. She could be susceptible, let me tell you. You know, a lot of people know what she looks like. You know, I'm not encouraging any violence or anything like that, but a lot of people are very upset with this woman. A lot of black folk don't take too kindly to this type of behavior, right? And $800K, where's she gonna live? Monaco with $800,000? How's she gonna disappear? So good luck to her, you know. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the impromptu late night live. Talking about the Haitians, talking about the deportations, deport Haitian, no pun intended. And prayers go out to them. I hope both the FBAs, the Foundational Black Americans, and the Haitians, I hope they get out okay. I hope they can band together, you know, put their differences aside. And I think both communities have a lot to learn from each other. You know, the FBAs can learn a lot about how to, you know, be respectful, behave, present yourself well, you know, tuck in your shirts. They can learn that from the so-called tethers. And the so-called tethers could learn a lot about American lifestyle in general, right? The wonderful country of the US&A, right? The land of the free where dreams are made of, right? Dreams come true. So I think a lot of positivity could be achieved by these communities banding together. That being said, I hope you enjoyed. Rewind the stream. Check it out from the beginning. It's a real good one. Not too long, this one today. But it's a good one. Rewind, check it out. Give a like, give a share, subscribe. Show your fellow FBAs. Show your fellow Caribbean. That's it. Power to the people. Don't forget to share the love.